A growing number of retirees have stepped off the sidelines and they've headed back to work, especially after many were forced to retire in the pandemic. That's according to a new report from T. Rowe Price. The report found that around 20% of retirees say they're working part-time or full-time. 7% are looking for work in retirement. Yahoo Finance senior columnist Carrie Hannon here to discuss what's behind this trend of unretiring. Carrie, I imagine it has a lot to do with the economic backdrop.
Well, it does, in fact. There's kind of a combination of factors here. Half of the people who have unretired have done so for financial reasons. They simply need the money. The other factor, the other group, about 50%, they're doing it for positive aging reasons. So let's look at the financial piece first. People often there are quite a few retirees who took early retirement packages during the pandemic. And now they're finding that inflation has been eroding their savings. They're fearful about living their money, and they really feel like they need to get back on the job. A couple of trends that have emerged from the pandemic make this possible in a way that it never did before. There is remote work opportunities and contract jobs, both things that just took off during the pandemic and make it possible for workers who have, quote, unretired to have some flexibility in how they go about working again. So when we look at that financial piece, let me tell you, there are some wonderful reasons to continue to work in some fashion, even if you have saved appropriately, because you can maybe add to retirement accounts. You can, stave off dipping into those retirement accounts so they can keep growing. And you can delay your Social Security benefit possibly from full retirement age, say 66, 67, until age 70, and you get a 8% increase each year in your benefit that is permanent between those years, full retirement age and 70. This can be significant. So those are really strong financial reasons. For the reasons for healthy aging, what's wonderful there, it gives people a purpose. It's a reason to get up in the morning, a reason to network and have a social group. It sort of fights back against loneliness. And it also is use it or lose it. It's that mental acuity that comes from continuing to work. So these are some of the main, really positive trends that we see of people unretiring. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it is what we are definitely seeing a movement toward. And I would expect moving forward, we'll see more unretirees because, in fact, people who retired for health reasons, the ability to remotely work makes it easier to stay on the job. And I think that's something that's really quite noteworthy.
And Carrie, for the people who are nearing retirement, how can they prepare for what's to come, especially if work in some fashion might be part of their next chapter?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. A lot of people think about what they're retiring from. They know they're retiring from that job, but they're not thinking about what they're retiring to. So they haven't actually done that soul searching about, why do I want to work? What do I want this chapter of my life to look like? And if I want to work, how much money do I need to make? What am I thinking about here? Once you can figure that out, it makes you more nimble about what kind of work you might want to look for. And there's certain steps you should take. Think about what you might want to do, but you might need to add some skills. You might need to do that networking and talk to people doing the kinds of jobs that you might want to do. And you need to think about this in a way, you may even go boomerang back to your old employer and say, is there a way that I can be a consultant for you, or, any of those sorts of things. But it's reaching out and maybe even moonlighting, doing the job first. But what people have to hang on to is you're not replicating the job you did before. This chapter of work in your life of unretirement is really something that's like a patchwork quilt. You might do something for a couple of years and switch to something else. You might do it part-time. You might do a couple things at the same time. So you kind of have to get out of that linear mindset of what your career was prior to this and what work as an unretiree can be.
Carrie Hannon, thank you so much. We appreciate it.